Okay, it is 1 minute after 7, and I know everyone has activities and things they want to do in the evening, so we will get started. So, bienvenue, welcome to the French Immersion Information Night for the Avon Maitland District School Board. My name is Mike Stanley. I'm the principal at École Bedford, and we have Stefan Schneider. Stefan, can you say hello?
Oh, bonjour.
And
I'm the
Stefan Schneider.
principal, yeah, at Anne Hathaway Public School. Ecole
There
Anne
you go.
Hathaway.
And we are joined by a number of our amazing staff at both schools. So they are attending as well. If there are questions that they can answer that are being asked, and please, they can join in at any point during the presentation as well. So we welcome them and we welcome you. So thank you very much for joining. Just a couple of housekeeping items. This presentation is being recorded. And as well, if you have any questions at any point, please put them in the chat or just raise your hand, and that will also be monitored by Mr. Schneider or Mr. Brower as well. Okay, so why learn a second language? There are many reasons to enroll your child in a French immersion program. A second language can help students develop an appreciation for other cultures. A second language can help prepare them to be a global citizen and allow them to fully participate in our bilingual country. And a second language can strengthen overall language skills. The goal for French immersion in Avon Maitland District School Board is to provide an Anglophone child with the opportunity of achieving meaningful level of functional bilingualism. And later on the presentation, we will hear from Madame Brick, who's a teacher at Bedford, and she also taught at Anne Hathaway, and she will talk about her experience going through the French immersion program in our board. A brief history of French immersion. So in 1998, several families committed to registering children in French immersion for the following fall in grade 1 at Bedford. The startup approved for fall of 2000 with students allowed to begin at a one-time only grade 2 entry with the 2 grade 1 classes in the same year. A second French immersion site was added at École Anne Hathaway in September 2013. There are a variety of French immersion models across the province. In Avon Maitland, we've opted for a 50% French and 50% English program minimum. In fact, we have at least 810 minutes or at least 55% of the week minimum for French. In grades 1 to 8 at 50% or 500 hours, 4,000 hours of French instruction. In grades 9 to 12, there are 7 to 10 credits, and a certificate is provided. The entry to French immersion program in Avon Maitland District School Board is in grade 1. So here's a brief down, a comparison of the French immersion versus the core French program, which is the English stream. So in French immersion, in elementary grades 1 to 8, there's a minimum of 810 minutes a week of French instruction. In secondary, there are 7 to 10 courses, which includes 4 French specific and 3 to 6 in other subjects taken in French. On the right-hand column, there's the core French, which would be the French and the English stream. That starts in grade 4 and goes to grade 8, and that's 200 minutes minimum a week of French instruction. Once a student is in secondary, grade 9, there's one course that is compulsory, then French is optional after grade 9. The French Immersion Day. So subject and time allocation and comparison. Subjects taught in English for French immersion include math and the English language, about 100 to 125 minutes a day. Sometimes other subjects as well, based on staffing availability. Subjects taught in French can be phys ed, health, the arts, which include drama, dance, music, and visual arts, social studies, science, and the French language, which is about 175 to 200 minutes a day. In comparison, the English program, kindergarten to grade 3, minutes per week is language, 600 minutes, math, 300 minutes, science and social studies, 180 minutes, health and phys ed, 180 minutes, the arts, 200 minutes, daily physical activity, 100 minutes, and the core French instruction, which begins in grade 4 with 40 minutes a day. And sort of a summary of the French immersion and English subject comparisons. Madame Brick, can you please speak to the communication in French immersion?
Absolutely. So French is the means of communication between students and teachers. As students develop competency, the expectations increase through the grades. In grade 1, students learn to use simple phrases to express basic needs. For example, asking to use the washroom, they will be taught to say, puis-je aller aux toilettes? In grade 1, there is a strong oral focus, so that's referring to listening and speaking. Students sing, dance, and play in French to facilitate French communication. Writing and reading in French increase as students progress through grades 1 through 8. And now I'd like to speak to the benefits of French immersion. So a few of the benefits include developing functional bilingualism. They're likely to improve their communication skills in English and in French. They become immersed in a new culture, and it can lead to more job opportunities for that student. Now I'd like to take a couple minutes just to share my positive personal experience with the FI program in AMDSB. So I'm a graduate of the French immersion program at Bedford Public School. I attended Bedford Public School from kindergarten to grade 6, and from there I attended Central from grade 7 through 12. I earned my 10 French credits to graduate with a French immersion certificate in high school. I also took 2 French proficiency tests in grade 10 and grade 11 that earned me my DELF B1 and B2 status, which never expire, and essentially it's just on paper saying that I am bilingual. Then I went on to study French at Western University, and I graduated with a degree in a program called French for Teaching. So now I'm back at Bedford Public School where my journey all began, and I'm teaching grade 2 French immersion. I thought learning French was fun and it was stimulating as a child. I can confidently say that the French immersion program has given me priceless learning opportunities, and it has also led me to a career that I find very fulfilling and inspiring, being able to teach young language learners. So if you're debating if French immersion is a good fit for your child, the best way to find out is by enrolling them in grade 1 and just seeing how they progress.
Terrific. Thank you very much. Merci beaucoup. Are there any other staff members who want to speak to the benefits of French immersion as well? Madame Brick, you did a great job. Anne Hathaway and Bedford. So Anne Hathaway and Bedford are both dual track schools. They offer 2 choices. English stream with core French beginning in grade 4, and the French immersion stream beginning in grade 1. The boundaries. So we'll talk about some school boundaries. Bedford French immersion students live in the catchment area of Bedford Public School or outside the city of Stratford. Anne Hathaway Public School French immersion students live in the catchment areas of Anne Hathaway, Hamlet, Shakespeare, Romeo, and Avon. Transportation and busing. So in Stratford, busing is provided from the home school in Stratford to Anne Hathaway Public School. So if your child attended Avon, there would be a bus there in the morning to pick them up and take them to Anne Hathaway and bring them back at the end of the day as well. So that's how the busing works. They're picked up at their home school and bused to Anne Hathaway. There's also busing provided from Stratford District Secondary School catchment area to Bedford. If outside Stratford District Secondary School catchment area, you can meet the bus at an existing stop. So we do not have a bus, unfortunately, that goes to St. Mary's. If you do live in St. Mary's and you want your child to attend French immersion, you would have to get them to the closest existing stop currently. And there currently is one in Avonton. Currently, we have a group of stops at the community center in Sebringville, Nithberg, Avonton, and Gads Hill that families would have the option to meet at. Each year, the AMDSB board examines our existing routes and where students are coming from before adding additional stops or moving a stop to another location. Madame Brick, can you also speak to this slide as well? If you're a parent, you may be wondering how you can help your child if you don't speak French.
Absolutely. So we have provided some tips here about what these parents can do to support their children. So number one, we just have read to your child regularly, whether it be in French or in English. In my grade 2 French immersion classroom, I always send home a weekly text and a video of myself reading the text just so that parents can follow along. So I think the students are learning, but also the families are learning along with their child. You can have your child read to you in both languages, and you will see that their French language skills progress quickly, and they'll be able to read short decodable texts starting in grade 1. You can continue to communicate regularly in your first language, talk, talk, talk. This improves overall language development, and there's lots of crossover between the languages too. You can help your child develop a solid knowledge of sounds and vocabulary. So as a kindergarten parent, you're likely familiar with the UFly phonics program, and we follow a very similar program in the French immersion stream called Sonographe, and it has that same explicit phonics instruction. You can practice counting in your child in French and in English, so that can be a fun at-home activity. You can also point out signs and labels in French and English. And if you are worried about your child's work and the support that you can provide at home, the best thing to do is just reach out to your child's teacher and they can suggest ideas and strategies that may be helpful for you.
Thank you very much. Registration. The registration deadline is January 30th. Please drop off registration forms at Bedford or Anne Hathaway offices. The registration form can be printed from the board website or the information page that was sent to families about this evening. Or you can get a copy from your home school and also from Bedford and Anne Hathaway. And the link here will take you to the board site for French immersion. This is a copy of the form that was shared with families with the link for this evening. And you can see here, there is the registration form link here. When you're on this page, you can continue to scroll down and learn more about the French Immersion program. There's a little brief video, why choose French Immersion, and more information down below. Are there any questions? And if you think of questions later, please contact Anne Hathaway or Bedford. We are happy to help.
There
So
is a
are there any
question here.
questions?
There
Great.
is one from Marina. Do you think French immersion would still be beneficial for a bilingual child whose family speaks only another language at home, not English, especially considering that the family has already noticed the child has some difficulty moving between the two languages?
Hmm. Is there a staff member who would like to answer that question?
I can take a stab at that one if you don't mind. I have taught children before that already speak another language other than English, and most of the time it has turned out quite well. I find when they're really young, they're like little sponges. You may have heard that expression before, and it really is true. Like they really do seem to pick up vocabulary, sentence structure quite easily. For a child that's already, even if they're not fluent in English, but they already have a native tongue, it seems like they pick it up actually maybe more easily, I would say, because they're already used to hearing another language. So I would say that if you're considering, I would absolutely try. I myself, English is not my first language, so English was my second language. And then when we moved here, I was already in grade two. And basically, it was like English immersion for me. And I also started learning French at the time because we were in the Catholic board. And I picked that one up as well. So it really is a great opportunity, and I would encourage you to try it.
Thanks, Sonia. The next question, Mike, is if a child is not progressing well or not wanting to do it, can they go back to French core or the English stream? And
Yes,
the
they can.
answer, yes.
Yes.
The answer to that is yes. Very
Yes, they
minimal
can.
risk.
Yes. If your child is in grade one in the French immersion program and they progress to grade two or grade three and they are having difficulties and you feel it's better that they move to the English stream, at any point in time, you can move your child to the English stream. Before that were to occur, hopefully we would have conversations with you and see how we can better support in different ways your child and the family as well to continue in the French immersion program. But the simple answer is yes. You can go to the English stream at any point.
Just add to that,
Sorry.
Mike, like we don't often see, like we might see a few every year that might do the switch for many reasons, and we always have, like Mike said, meetings to discuss the specifics and the reasoning behind the choice. But often students do, I find that they're successful in the French immersion stream when they start in grade one, and they're kind of, it's a slow progression. The teachers do a really good job of, being interactive. The lessons are very engaging. There's songs, there's actions, there's lots of visuals. In the classroom space that we don't often have too many that will actually choose to go back. So often it's a very successful choice when families do make the choice to enter French immersion.
The next question is from Andy. Is there a circumstance where a child currently zoned for Avon would be considered for FI at Bedford, for example, if there's an existing family connection at Bedford, staff, current students, etc.?
Right. This does come up every year, I think, with border crossing between the programs. And if you are interested in going to Bedford, if you're in the Anne Hathaway catchment, or if you're in the Bedford catchment and you want to go to Anne Hathaway. When you register your child, you put in a border crossing request. The requests are looked at the board level at the time of staffing and planning for class sizes and classes for next year. So when you register your child, please put in a border crossing request.
Rod is asking, will we have access to reading materials ahead of grade 1?
For French, Bedford does not give out any reading materials before grade 1. I think it's the same for Anne Hathaway.
Yeah, this is Megan Bracken. I am a primary teacher at Anne Hathaway, and absolutely, there are resources at the Stratford Public Library. If you're looking for French materials ahead of time, not provided by the schools, but there are materials to the library. And just kind of to piggyback what Ms. Brick was saying earlier about the real oral nature of primary French immersion and the real emphasis on oral language development. I think listening to a lot of French music or French rhymes and things are other ways to foster kind of an ear for different sounds and an enjoyment of listening and experimenting and playing with French language. So I think there's lots of songs and lots of music that's available, and might be a good place to start if you're looking for something ahead of time.
Another cool website's called Unite for Literacy, where you can access all types of primary level books that read in multiple different languages. So some books will have the English and the French right on them. So as you read with the students, it'll have the option to toggle between both, so you know and understand what you're reading with your child at home. Marina has a question. Is it a lottery, or are there usually enough spaces for all students who apply to French immersion?
If you are in the catchment area of the school and your child wants to be in French immersion, you want to register your child for French immersion, there will always be a space for them. It is different if you are border crossing. If you're border crossing, families that border cross in, we can't create a new class based on students that are border crossing into a school. But if you're in the catchment area and you wish to attend the French immersion program, there will always be a space for you.
So essentially, what that means is if you are in the Romeo catchment area, there will be a spot here at Anne Hathaway for you. If you are in the Bedford catchment area, you would have a spot at Bedford. But if you were in, let's say, again, the Avon catchment area, there's a spot here at Anne Hathaway for you. But if your preference is for a number of reasons to go to the Bedford French immersion program, that would require an approval of a border crossing request, which is, as Mike just said, not guaranteed. Those are reviewed, and but you would definitely have a spot at Anne Hathaway. So there is a spot for you. It just depends on which school that you're dictated by your address that you would attend.
Michael is asking, what is the average class size? Does it differ from the English stream?
The class sizes do not change at all. So whether it's English stream or the French immersion stream, the class sizes are the same. So grades 1 to 3, currently the maximum size is 23. We try and keep the classes at approximately 20. That doesn't happen too often. They're usually between 20 and 23.
Krista's asking, is the curriculum the same for the immersion program for science and social studies as the English stream?
Maybe a teacher wants to handle this.
Hmm.
All right,
Oh,
Katie.
Yeah.
Hi, Katie DeHunt from Anne Hathaway School. The short answer is the curriculum is is the same. It is just simply the delivery language that differs. And also, when your child is in grade 1 and just beginning and they're in science, we are always scaffolding and layering in new French vocabulary as we go. So it isn't going to be, dropping your child into the deep end so that they can't follow along in a science lesson. It is really carefully planned. So the short answer is they are, yes, receiving the exact same curriculum points, but they are doing so while engaging and learning the French language at the same time. So that's kind of a neat benefit because they're going to get a lot of depth and breadth of vocabulary as they go.
Great. Thanks, Katie. Okay, Taylor is asking, from my own experience, core students outperformed on standardized tests for math, and many students ultimately had no improved French comprehension compared to the core students. Is there any data comparing the outcomes of core versus FI?
That for, can you read that question one more time? Is that for just math?
Looks like it, yeah. From my own experience, core students outperformed on standardized tests for math, and many students ultimately had no improved French comprehension compared to the core students. Is there any data comparing the outcomes of core versus FI? I don't think we have any data on that.
No, like I don't. I probably speak for Stefan as well. We don't have any data that compares like
Just to
the math
interject,
outcomes.
Yeah,
sorry,
Katie has a comment.
I just was wondering if maybe the misunderstanding is that math is delivered in French. There are some boards in Ontario that do deliver the math curriculum in French, but our board is not one of them. So your child will be receiving math education in English as well, like others in the English stream. So I'm wondering if that's maybe where the misunderstandings come from.
Would like to add, I don't think we have any longitudinal data, but we certainly like our two schools in particular, we have our EQAO results that come back. So that would be a standardized math test that's administered, and certainly I think it's hard to say, and cohorts ebb and flow, but I certainly don't see anything in that data that would suggest that our French immersion students do any worse and sometimes do better at those assessments. So I don't think those things are necessarily linked. There's a lot of variables that go into that, and I think from the sense that I get when I review EQO data, and Mike, you can speak to Bedford, but they're the same, or our French immersion classes will have years where they do better, or often it can be similar.
Okay, that's all the questions on our chat list.
Great. Thank you very much. And thank you very much to our staff members who attended this evening. We greatly appreciate your time. And thank you to all the families who attended the session as well. Once again, if you have any questions, please contact Anne Hathaway or Bedford. Reach out to us, and we are happy to help. Have a good night. Thank you.